just waiting for them to switch on the online for the people who are at home. We're live, are we? Shabbat shalom, everybody. Apologise for the slightly late start. We were making more space for all the people who are here in the sanctuary this evening. No, not really, but we have got a good crowd here tonight, and we have some guests, which is lovely. Mickey and Andrew, who joined us from South Africa, and Shabbat shalom to everybody at home. So we are on page 88. We're going to do Shabbat evening service number 5, which of course doesn't always occur because there aren't always 5 Shabbats in the month. I'm going to invite Mickey to come up and light the candles. There's like a matches or a lighter option, as you like.
Thank you for making us feel so welcome. I don't know if you are familiar with Debbie Friedman, but this is her beautiful candle song. Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones we love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights to see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights to see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushonu b'mitzvoso v'tzivonu להדליק נר של שבת. Amen.
There are days when we seek material things and measure failure by what we do not own. We wish not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature with reckless greed. On the Sabbath, we stand in wonder for the mystery of creation. There are days when we think only of ourselves. On the Sabbath, we open our hearts to the needs and rights of others. So now we're going to sing Mizmor Shir. I have to give myself a note so that don't go too high. Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid baboker al sdecha, Shabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Ki simchtani Adonai b'poalecha lecha, b'maaseh yadecha Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה. The righteous shall flourish like the palm, grow tall like the cedar of Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Eternal One, they shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall ever be fresh and green, proclaiming that God is just, my rock in whom there is no flaw. The Eternal One reigns in grandeur robed and girded with strength. The world stands firm, shall not be moved. Your throne is established from of old, for you are everlasting. The oceans roar, eternal God, the thundering oceans roar, the thundering oceans rage. Yet greater than the roaring waves, mightier than the breaking seas, you stand supreme on high. Sure are the proofs of your power, O God, and holiness adorns your house forever. So now we're going to sing L'chad Odi, and I'm going to try the tune that Renee sings, which I learnt from Renee, and it begins like this. Whoa, doesn't begin like that. I know how it begins. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Shamo v'zacho b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ham-yichad, Adonai echad, U'shmo echad, L'shemu tiferet v'letchila. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi makor ha'baracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machash v'tachila. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'oreku midori. Uri, uri, shir daberi, kavod Adonai alayich nikla. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. L'chad Odi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha v'tzola. Toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Okay, not sure if I got that right or not. And Jenny was frowning at me, so maybe not. Please stand for Baruch Hu. La 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 la. La please sit down and let's read the next paragraph together in English. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. You make day pass, bring on night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall. So I'm going to turn over the page to the Shema, but before we actually say the Shema, I want you to do something while you're sitting down. Two things, actually. First one's really easy. Count the number of words in the first line. Anybody done it? Hebrew, yeah. Okay, wasn't too difficult. Anybody? No? Answer? 6, good, we're doing that. Not the second line, which actually wasn't in the Torah, but now could you count the words in the following paragraph on page 94? Hebrew, hyphenated words count as 2 words. $42. Okay. All right. So now you've just got to park that piece of information for a little while and we'll come back to it later. But we had to do it while it was there. We will come back to why we counted the words in the Shema. Okay. Please stand or sit as you choose for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol modecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinamtom levanecha v'dibarta bom v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha b'derech v'shachbecha u'b'kumecha v'kasharatom le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chetavtom al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tiskaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kadoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hoseti etem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. All this we hold to be true and sure. You can sit down, Michael, if you like. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then full of joy we sang together. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot tosefo, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed, Adonai imlo le'olam kifada Adonai et Yaakov, ug'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Ka'al Yisrael. Let's read together in English. Grant, eternal God, that we may lie down in peace, and let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and on all who dwell on earth. Please stand for the Amidah. We're on page 97. Adonai Sefatai Tifta Ufiya Gita Hilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo ba'ahava, Melech Ozer Umashir Umagein, Baruch atah Adonai, Magein Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Machayei Meitim Atah Rav Lehoshia. Mashiv Haruach Umorid Hageshem, Mazriach Hashemesh Umorid Hatal. Mechakel Chayim B'chesed, Machayei Meitim B'rachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim V'rofei Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umakayei Emunato, Lishelei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Kevurot, Umidom Elov, Melech Mimit Umachayei, Umatzliach Yeshua. V'ne'aman atah lehachayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Machayei hametim. Kadosh atah v'nora shemecha, v'ein lanu Eloha mibaladecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please sit down. We thank you, O God, for this Sabbath day, which calls us to a closer communion with you. Though you are near to us at all times, you reveal your presence most clearly when we direct our thoughts to you in worship and meditation. In you, O God, our humanity is exalted. You are our life. From you come its greatness, its power, its beauty. Establish in us, we humbly pray, a devotion to you that shall be firm in all the circumstances of life. May this service renew in our hearts the sense of your presence and bring us peace. Yismachu b'malchutcha, Yismachu b'malchutcha, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei onik, Amekadshei Shevi, Amekadshei Shevi, Kulam Yisbehu v'yitzamku mitovecha, Yamin, We're going to pick up in the middle of page 100. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. Baruch, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. Let's read together. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atah melech adon, lachol hashalom. Ki atah Tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol leit ub'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam, tasim le'olam. Says the congregation will sit, but we are sitting. If you're standing up at home, please feel free to sit. And now we'll take some moments for silent prayer. There is a meditation to read on the next page. L'ratzon imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehayu l'ratzon imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai sing Oseh Shalom as well, since we need more peace. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Bnei Adam, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Bnei Adam. Right, this is where you get to hear me talk. So, as we haven't got Shabbat service tomorrow morning, there seems to be an August break. I decided to read a little bit of tomorrow's Torah portion and also say something about it. And I got very enthusiastic reading this because if I'd known this Torah portion before, I'd forgotten it. So it's always nice to discover or rediscover. And anyway, if you're a fan of courtroom dramas or like 12 Angry Men, that movie, or John Grisham novels or something like that, you will know that there's a very important distinction to be made between murder and manslaughter because the punishments are very different. And this week's portion is all about that, crime and punishment. The portion is called Maseh. It's the last bit of the book of Numbers before we start Deuteronomy. So, as so often, it's interesting for what it says. It's interesting for what it doesn't say, because it leaves a curious question unresolved. And then it's interesting to see how people have answered this question and what it's got to do with us. So all of those are quite interesting. So for people at home, I think you can see the text online. People here will have to just listen to me. So it's it's just disappeared from my screen. That's not good. That's not good at all. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, just a mild pause here because it says unable to open document. So we'll just. It's been open all day. We will just. We will just open it another way if you just bear with me a moment. There we go. We will open it like this. Miracle. Okay. So, what you need to know, the scene is they were all, sorry about the delay there, they were all wandering in the desert, right, on the way to the promised land. And obviously, we're getting towards the end of the Torah, so they're getting near. And there's a whole lot about how the land, when they get to the promised land, is going to be shared out between the different tribes. You probably know there were 12 tribes of Israel. And so that's the scene. And the other thing you need to know is that the Levites were kind of like a spiritual tribe. They were one of the tribes and they worked in the temple and kind of good and holy people. Okay, so now we are going to begin. God spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab, beside the Jordan, saying, "Command the Israelites that out of their property holdings they shall assign some towns to the Levites to live in. You shall also assign to the Levites pasture land around their towns. The towns shall serve them to dwell in, while the pasture lands shall serve their cattle. So far, so good. The cities that you give the Levites shall be 6 cities of refuge. 6 cities of refuge, okay? To which you shall permit the accidental killer to escape. And in addition to those 6, you shall designate 42 other cities. The total number of towns to be given the Levites is to be 48. Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, select suitable towns to serve as cities of refuge, that the killer who kills anyone inadvertently may escape there. The towns shall serve you as places of refuge from the avenger, so that the killer may not die until he's taken his stand before the community for trial. As for the towns you are to designate, you shall have 6 cities of refuge, designating 3 cities on the other side of the Jordan and 3 in the land of Canaan to be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall serve the Israelites as well as the resident aliens and the serfs amongst them as places of refuge, so that anyone who kills a person unintentionally may flee there. But if he struck him with an iron tool so that he died, the man is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. If he struck him with a stone in the hand so that he died, the man is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. Or if he struck him with a wooden object in the hand, from which death may result, the man is a murderer. The man must be put to death. The avenger of blood, in accordance with these regulations, the community encounters him, he shall put him to death. Also, if he gives him a push through hatred or threw something at him intentionally so that he died, the one who struck the blow must be put to death, since he is a murderer. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when he encounters him. Now, the avenger of blood is like the blood relation. The blood relation of the victim, that's what the avenger of blood means, because that was kind of what was done in that area in those days. But if he pushed him inadvertently and not out of hostility, or threw anything at all at him unintentionally, or without seeing him, you let a stone of any kind fall on him, and he died, though he wasn't his enemy and he didn't seek his harm, then the community must decide between the one who struck the blow and the avenger of blood, in accordance with these regulations. So basically, you've got to put him on trial and decide if it was murder or manslaughter. The community shall release the killer from the power of the avenger of blood, and the community shall return him to the city of refuge to which he fled, and he shall live there until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the sacred oil. But if the killer ever goes outside the boundaries of the city of refuge to which he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the bounds of the city of refuge, the avenger of blood may kill the killer without incurring any guilt, because he must remain in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the killer may return to his own land. And whenever someone kills a person, the evidence of witnesses is required for the execution of the murderer, and the evidence of a single witness is not sufficient for putting a person to death. Okay, so that's kind of interesting stuff to start with. But what's the bit about the high priest? Why were the killers freed when the high priest died? So you've been tried, you've been found guilty of manslaughter, you've been sent to this city of refuge, and then the high priest died. Now, this is a bit puzzling because the killers would have served very different sentences, right? Because who knows when the high priest is going to die? One killer might have been in the city of refuge for 20 years and another one just for a day. So, we don't know the answer. Does the murderer remain in the city because they're unsafe elsewhere, and somehow the priest's death means that they can no longer hide safely? Is it a city of refuge in that sense? Or is the murderer being kept in the city as a punishment, and the death of the high priest creates an amnesty for everyone? So these are some of the theories, and we don't really know the answer. But in the Talmud, there's another bit which I think is the best bit of the lot about this, which says that the high priest's mother would traditionally supply those killers in the city of refuge with clothing and food so that they wouldn't be praying for the death of the high priest to come soon. So this is so Jewish mother, is it not? You're going in there with the chicken soup and a warm scarf and everything. So this is what was in the Talmud. So, what does this mean for us today? Because we've got our own Jewry system, etc. But actually, and I'm grateful to my son for this insight, it's really relevant to things we see in the news every day. Because we shouldn't come down like a ton of bricks on someone who's committed a fault unintentionally. Forget killing for the moment, just think of other things that people have done wrong or said wrong and they didn't mean it. They should be sheltered from society's extreme anger, but they do have to atone for their mistake and learn wisdom. After all, the inadvertent killers were sent to the cities of refuge to live amongst the Levites, who were spiritual people. And now, do you remember when we counted the words of the Shema? Okay, so an 18th century Polish rabbi found a parallel between the 6 and the 42 cities and the words of the Shema, the 6 words in the first line and the 42 in the rest of the paragraph. And he said that just like in ancient times, a person could find shelter in cities of refuge when they'd hurt someone unintentionally, today we can find rest and guidance and inspiration in the city of the Shema if we feel bad and guilty that we haven't been as good as we should, and if we've maybe done something wrong and hurt someone. So that was where we counted. Okay, so that's my words of wisdom to you. So now we're going to do our concluding prayers. I was trying to see if I could see who's available online, but I haven't been able to. I don't know, Nicola, if you can see who's online for some reason.
I can. There's Sarah Alston, Sybil Gilbert, Michelle Lafitte, Maxine Horenfeld, Annalie Sanderson, Deborah Wilson. Those are the ones who declared the philosophy by saying Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, that little group who Nicola just mentioned, and anybody who hasn't logged their name, or anybody who's on any of the other platforms where you are invisible. So now we will turn to our concluding prayers, which are on page 520. 1220, indeed. Please stand. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו, ושכינתו זו, בגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס ולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Let's read together in English. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all dwellers on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honour. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו We have got some yard sites to mention tonight. Carol Ray, mother of Paul Ray and grandmother of Ben and Natasha. Sarah Blatt, grandmother of Anna Sanderson. Anna, I think you're online, so we wish you long life. Lily Solomon's mother of Mike Solomons, and Stephen Ottner, father of Sarah Ottner. Any other yacht sites anybody wants to mention? No. Okay. So we're on page 522. As we worship before you, O God, we think of those who once shared with us the joys and burdens of life, and who are no longer in our midst. The sorrow of bereavement is softened by the bond of love which continues to unite us with our dear ones, and by our cherished memories of them, which we will always carry in our hearts. May all that was good in their lives remain with us as an influence for good. O God, grant consolation to those who are in sorrow, and light to those in darkness. Teach us at all times to put our trust in you, and to praise your name. We turn to page 524, and we'll say, Yitkadal v'yitkadash b'shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'alag v'zman kariv v'emru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam al yalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadav, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemeid kadasha b'rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, tamhiram ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol b'nei Adam, ve'imru. Amen. So please have a seat. Now, I don't know if anybody here wants to announce anything. Stephanie, garden party.
Okay, yes. In 2 weeks on Sunday, so August 14th, we have our annual garden party for a year or so. And it's at the home of Hilary Cohen. The address will be sent to you once you book it. And if you look on the weekly What's On, you'll see a place to book. And we hope as many of you as possible will come. It's at 3 o'clock on Sunday the 14th.
Did anybody else want to announce anything? No.
We're hosting Shabbat at home 2 days before that. So,
All right, Tina and Neil.
So let us know if you can, if not.
Okay, Tina and Neil Shabbat at home on the 12th of August, and ideally would like to know
Donkeys will be
how many people are coming. Yes, Tina and Neil have got donkeys. You have to go. Okay, so let's conclude with Adon Olam on page 525. So Jenny frowned at me for the Lachadodi, and I have to make sure that Sandra doesn't frown at me for the choice of Adon Olam tune. So Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'Terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa V'Chefzo Kol Hazai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hover V'hu Yeh B'Tifara V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni L'ham Shilo L'ha'bira B'li Rashid B'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'am Yisrael V'hu Eli V'chai Goli V'tzochev li B'et Zara V'hu Nisim U'lanasli Menat Kosi B'yom Ekra B'yado Avkid Ruchi B'tisham V'ya'ira V'im Ruchi K'viyati Adonai li V'lo. Please stand. B'yado Avkid Ruchi B'tisham V'ya'ira V'im Ruchi K'viyati Adonai li V'lo ira. Into your hand I place my soul, asleep, awake, for you are near. And with my soul, my body too, you are my God, I shall not fear. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, online people. We're now going to go into the other room for Kiddush, which I think means we then depart from the online people, so hope to see you again soon.